About 25 years ago, when I met Irwin Luck and his brother Eddie, they came out to Berkeley, and I was very, very happy to fall into their company. We had a plant store at one time. I'm sure Irwin remembers. The plant store, of course, not just a plant store. And we had time in the mornings to indulge Irwin in his favorite activity. Maybe that's why we're not in business still, because we had all this time on our hands when we were running a business. But Irwin's favorite activity was much to my liking, because I got to hear all the details about so many wonderful experiences with Baba that Irwin and his brother had. All the correspondence that they took the opportunity to have with Baba, and Baba gave them the opportunity to have. And all the years of incessant and constant reflection on the meaning of those experiences, which really was Irwin's life, along with trying to spread Baba's message through films and videos. It was a wonderful experience. And last night when Irwin started telling some of the stories, I thought there was only one thing that was missing from his talk, that somehow it didn't seem quite, and so I decided I would give him the cup of coffee. So I could declare this the Sahavas coffee shop.
What Scott was really trying to say is that every morning we'd go out and have coffee, and the coffee shops always did well with us because it was usually a large group of us that would go together, and we would just talk about all the different Baba stories that everybody could remember. So the copper penny was one of the favorite ones, but I don't see the inscription here. After one of the projects was over, it took about 6 months to complete, in which we were recording all of the films and videos and everything that we had done over the years of 1971, 72, and 73. And we would, every morning, all of the people working on it would go out. So that was a rich experience. Let me see. I brought with me a book of letters, which is between Meher Baba and the Luck family. These letters really were from the years of 1960, when I first came to see Baba and first started correspondence with Baba, right on through to 1969, till the time that Baba dropped his body. Before I read some of these, but I want to put it in the proper context so that you know what happened. Actually I have 4 books, but this one contains the ones that Baba sent to us, and the others contain the letters that we had sent to Baba, as well as the ones that he returned and answered. But those were, each book is about that thick, so it was just too heavy to take to India and bring to here, so I just took this one along. Now, yesterday I was talking about my first trip to see Baba, and one of the things that many people had stopped to ask me about after the talk was, how did the police get involved? Well, my father was not one that was at all understanding what it was that his son, me and my brother Edward, his sons, were so much interested to go to all the way to India and this and that and the other, to see a master who he had no understanding about at all. And as a matter of fact, as much as I would try to explain it to him, it didn't make much sense to him. So, as a result, when the time came that I wanted to actually leave, I and I think I mentioned yesterday, I had a lot of problem trying to raise the money to do it. It took about 6 months before I wrote to Baba, and in the course of writing to Baba, he replied to me and said, don't worry, circumstances will adjust themselves since nothing was happening. Well, what happened was that my dad is in the real estate business, and he all of a sudden decided one day, I don't know what made him decide this, but he said that, I'm going to make you president of one of the companies. And I'm not at all interested in real estate, so I'm doing it mainly just to be of help to him. So he was trying to encourage me, to inspire me that way. And I said, well, all right, whatever you want to do. And in the meantime, my mind was focused entirely as to how am I going to get to see the avatar. Well, when Baba sent that message, don't worry, circumstances will adjust themselves, I really felt good. I said, this is great. I just wonder what's going to happen, and I can't wait to see this. And then all of a sudden, this idea pops into my mind. Well, my dad says he's going on a vacation, and he put me in charge to do whatever advertising in a small scale that he would do to sell this property that he had. And I suddenly got an idea. If I'm ever going to get to India, I'm going to have to put a full-page ad in the Miami Herald advertising this property that he has. And just to boot, it would go in on a Saturday, because in this business, if you don't sell what you have on the weekend, Monday is forgotten. It never happens. So you either sell it when the ad goes in, or it's finished. It doesn't happen. So I thought, well, just to boot, I'm going to put another ad in, which would be like 3/4 of a page in the same newspaper, Miami Herald, in which the rates are double. You pay double rates for Sunday. And I thought, this will either be make or break. He'll either never want to see my face again in that office, or else it's going to be a good sale. And I'll be able to get the money together to go and see Meher Baba. So I'm thinking to do this here, and I start the layouts and bring in the newspaper people, and we're doing the layouts and all of that. And I had a pretty good idea of the kind of ads that my dad liked, and I was sticking more along those lines. So anyhow, these ads are put together, and now getting ready to put it in a newspaper. They send me some proofs, and what happens? My father comes back early. And the weekend that this was to go in, it was already Thursday now, and it goes in on Saturday. So he comes in and he says, well, son, how you doing? I said, well, I think we're going to have a nice weekend this weekend. He says, oh, really? What's happening? And I said, I'm putting an ad in the paper. Oh, he says, very good, very good. I'm glad you're interested. Very good. Can I see it? I said, sure, you can see it. And I pull out this big proof like this here, whole full page. He says, you're putting this in? He says, I said, yeah, we're going to sell a lot of land this week. And I'm thinking, this is my route to Bob. So he says, no, this is going to be much too much money. I said, but wait, there's another ad going in on Sunday too. He says, another ad? Full page? I said, no, not full page. But it was 3/4 page. He says, the rates are double. This is thousands of dollars. If this doesn't work, you're really out. So he says, we got to cancel these ads. And I knew that he couldn't do it because it was past the deadline. But I said, all right, cancel the ad. So he called up, hey, cancel the ad. No, can't. He said, well, it's too late. Can't cancel the ad. So Then he didn't get mad or anything, so he took it in stride and he says, well, okay, we're going to prepare everything. And we had films of the property and this and that and the other, and people were going to now come to our office in order to buy this property. So comes Saturday, and I remember that Saturday. It was 8 o'clock, everybody was there, and there was a policeman at the door. My father was also, had a great sense of the theater. Policeman at the door, and, you know, all the different maps and different things, and all the salesmen were in the, all ready, you know, waiting for people to come. And it's 8 o'clock, and that's when it starts, and nobody is there yet, of course, you know, it's 8 o'clock, that's okay. 9 o'clock goes by, and nobody's there, well, it's still early, and 10 o'clock comes by, and nobody comes, and that's, well, getting a little later. 11 o'clock goes by, and it's 12 o'clock, and there isn't anybody there. Nobody came. So I'm thinking, I'm trying to contain myself and be poised. My father is just, you know, sort of taking it in some stride there. And 1 o'clock goes by, and 3 o'clock goes by, and nobody comes. It was unbelievable to have that type of advertising and nobody comes. Well, my father says, he says, well, this is not doing so well. Just then, a lady comes in, and we were selling 10-acre tracts at the time, and she says, I would like to get something, but all I have is $5. Well, even then, $5 wasn't very much when you're talking about advertising and about buying property. So she says, it's not enough for a down payment, but I would like to put it down on a down payment. Because that's all I have. So I said, whatever you say, we'll do it. So that was the only thing that happened right through 8 o'clock that night on Saturday. And we go home, and my father is a real sport. I thought he would really blow a stack. He's a real sport, and he's saying, that's all right, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Well, tomorrow comes. Now it's Sunday. This is it. This is the last day. If they don't show up on Sunday, then it's going to be over on Monday. There would be nothing happening. Well, Sunday, yes, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, nobody is there. I said, this is impossible. I can't believe that nobody could come. And I'm thinking, what's to be done? It's 11 o'clock now. It's almost 12 o'clock. I'm looking at the hands of the clock. And all these salesmen are there. The policeman is at the door. I'm sitting back. And I look at the clock, and it's just about 12 o'clock, and I said, in my mind, I directed my thoughts straight to Baba, and I said, Baba, if you want me to get to see you, you're going to have to perform a miracle right now, and I know you don't like to perform miracles. If you want me to get there, you're going to have to do something, and you're going to have to do it fast, because time's running out. Well, just then it hits 12 o'clock, and all of a sudden, I begin to hear this noise. And everybody starts to hear this sound. And it's sort of like a rumbling sound. And it's getting louder. And the sound is getting louder. This rumbling sound is getting louder. Hey, what is going on? We're on the 18th floor of this building called the Congress Building in Miami. And the sound keeps getting louder and louder, and it's getting closer and closer, and and everybody is listening, you know, and the cop is standing there, you know. I thought he reached for his gun or something. This sound really gets loud, and all of a sudden you see this, there was like 2 doors to the office, to this, it was a fairly large office, and these 2 doors all of a sudden swing wide open, and this mass of people come in. And in seconds, the place is absolutely filled with people. And everybody wants to buy anything and everything that there is. They say, what do you have? We'll buy it. And the phones started to ring. They were ringing off the hook. Phones ring, 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 ring. You couldn't, it was hard to answer all the phones. And they were, we can't come. We want you to come here. We want to buy 20 acres. We want to buy 30 acres. Can somebody come and get a deposit? Or whatever it was. This went on non-stop till 6 o'clock at night. From 12 in the afternoon till 6 o'clock at night. Oh, brother. We sold out practically the whole thing. And at the end of the day, I said to my dad, I said, well, it really didn't turn out so bad. And he says, yes, it was a very good day. And he says, but I've run some pretty good ads too. And I had only one thing in mind. I want to get to see the Avatar. This is what the whole thing was about. So I just can't wait to say it to him. I said, well, Dad, I want to make a trip to see Baba, and I wanted to feel that I had earned my own way in this. And so that's one of the reasons why I did this. The main reason was that I wanted to get to Baba, and now I'd like to, get your consent and permission to be able to go. So he says, well, money was never the object. I said, it wasn't? He says, no, it's the principle of the thing. So I said, well, you mean that even though I've earned this and, did this, that you would still object? He said, well, of course, absolutely. It's the principle of the thing. I said, it would be a great waste of money to go anywhere like that, and a man says he's God and you're going to go and just go just like that. A lot of people say things. So I said, well, in this case, this is something that is special to me, and I believe it, so I have to go there and I have to see for myself. So he was flat out refusing, just flat out refusing, and I thought, oh my goodness, I did this whole thing, and it didn't amount to anything as far as he was concerned. So I said, well, anyhow, I feel okay to myself. So the next day, I spoke to my brother Edward, and I said, Ed, we're going to go, but we're not going to tell anybody, and we're not going to tell Dad, and we're just going to go. So he says, fine, ready to go. I said, what I'm going to have to do, I'm just going to have to do everything on the quiet. I'm just going to go to the bank, take out what I need for my tickets. We'll take out what we need for the expenses, and we'll just disappear. So that was our plan. And within a few days, we were off. Well, we had to first send a telegram to Baba saying we were coming. You see, all this... of course, Baba had said, don't worry, circumstances will adjust. Well, they were adjusting all right, but not like, everything is just cozy here. It all came about. Well, it came about, but you really had to do something too. But I felt Baba was performing the miracle. He was really behind it. Anyhow, so we left. And we left to New York, and Fred and Ella Winnefeld, we contacted them, and they met us at the airport, and there was like an 8-hour layover between going from the States to India. And when we got to and so when they took us back, we spent the 8 hours with them, and then we went to the airport. Well, my father is no dummy, and he began to put certain things together. And he must have realized somehow we probably didn't cover our tracks well enough. He realized something was amiss, and he must have figured out something, because he calls the police. And that's when it started. So we get to the airport, and what happens? These two policemen come up to us immediately, and they said, are you Irwin Luck? Are you Edward Luck? Yes. Would you come with us? And we said... well, not if we don't have to. So they were nice. They said, yes, you have to. So they took us over to the police station at the airport. And we get into the police station, and I remember there was this sergeant, and they brought us into this room, and he sat down. He was a plainclothes sergeant, and the first thing he says to us, "We got you." And I'm thinking, what did they get? And I'm not aware of what's going on. So he goes into a 15-minute tirade of how we were caught and how we tried to get away and how we were doing, and the police were there, and we know what's happening, and we got you. So he says, now, what do you have to say for yourself? You may as well confess everything now. So I said, well, the first thing I'd like to know is, what did we do? So he says, you're being arrested for embezzlement of company funds and also for aiding and contributing to the delinquency of a minor, which must have been my brother. So I said, well, I guess our father is our father involved in this. He says, your father? And then he walks out the room. And he comes back in like nothing happened again. And in the meantime, when he went out, I'm thinking to Edward, I said, what are they talking about here? I can't understand where this is coming from. And I said, well, it must be Baba's will. So anyhow, this guy comes back, this sergeant comes back. And he says, you are going to go to jail for a long time. And we're going to throw the key away if you don't confess now and tell us everything that happened. I said, well, I'll tell you this. I am the president of a company. I decided to make a trip. This is my brother. He's going. He is 20 years old. He's going to be 21 soon. And if I wouldn't be going, he would be going himself. If he wouldn't be going, I would be going myself. We're both brothers. We would decide to go together. Since we're going to the same place. He says, is that right? Are you brothers? And my brother says, yes, of course we're brothers, And you're both going together? He says, yes. I say, and I said, and this is my company, and I think that once you come before the judge and it becomes clear what's happening, because my father had made me the president, now this is what's happening, and I'm on my way. I have a right to go where I like. So, again, he goes out of the room. And this happened a few times that he was going in and out of the room. But what we didn't know was that there was a one-way glass there. And every time he went out of the room, later we realized this, the police would be on the other side listening to see if we were going to say something that I suppose would be incriminating. And then later I thought about it. What did we say? It must have been that, well, I guess Baba knows what he's doing. And I said, who's this Baba? Who's this Baba? Well, now he comes back into the room again. And this time he comes, I see the policeman, and who comes in with him? But there's my dad. He's walking in also with him, with the policeman. And my father was very upset. And he starts to really go into quite a tirade, and he wouldn't even look at us or talk to us straight. Instead, he says, you tell them. Now, we're right there. He tells to the sergeant, you tell them, after all the years of how I have brought them up, how I taught them to talk, how I taught them to walk, how I taught them everything, to send them to school, this is how they turn out. So the policeman says, well, what did they do? Anyhow, the long and the short of it was that things began to calm down, and the police were going like this, and there were so many of the police that would keep coming in. It was like a 3 and 4 would come in to listen, and then there would be another group that would come. This whole thing, and Baba's name kept coming up all the time because we were going to see Mayor Baba. Finally, the sergeant says, why don't you wait outside? So we go out, and then he comes out, and he says, we're very sorry about this whole thing. He says, you are free to go and do whatever you like, But he says, do us one favor. I said, what's that? He says, next time, don't get him so upset. Well, in the meantime, we're still focused. We still want to get to Baba. And it was at that point that my brother, because of my father's feeling of distress, my father said this. He says, look, I'll finance one expedition. That's what he called it. But I'm not going to do two. And your brother didn't do anything to go, and I'm not going to do it for him. So, but Baba had already said that we should both come together. So I said to Edward, look, there's no way I'm going unless you can go too. And if we have to wait a little longer, so we'll wait a little longer. We'll get it together again somehow, and we'll go. And he says, no, I don't want to do that. I want you to go. And what I'm going to do is go back with him, with Dad, and just calm him down. And you'll just sort of prepare a place for me, and I'll go, but it won't be right now. I said, well, I don't think we should do it like that because Baba said that we should come together. He says, yeah, but he's too upset and everything, and he says, I'm going to go back with him. I said, well, if you really insist on that, then I will go ahead myself, and we'll just work it out for later. But are you sure that's what you want? And he said, yes, that's the way he wanted to do it. So, okay, so that's when I got to see Baba, and that's when Baba asked, where is your brother? That was the first thing he asked. So I said, Baba, this is what happened, and I told him the story about how the police stopped us and how he went back to be with my dad and this and that, and he wanted to come. And Baba liked that. You know, he said, well, Baba said that Edward would benefit the same. And he said that it would have been better if we come together, but Edward would benefit the same. And then, now I'm going to switch over to what actually happened to Edward. When I returned from this trip, Edward liked to go to the beach. We were living near the beach. And he said to me that a very amazing thing would happen. After he got the message from me that, no, it was even before he got the message of what Baba had said, because Baba had said to send a telegram and tell him what, that he would benefit the same. Well, what really happened was that he began to get this experience of Baba's presence so intense and so strong that he told me that when he would walk down the street, people would just turn around, as if you might if Baba had walked. When Baba would walk down the street, people oftentimes would turn around like, who is that person? Who is, they would feel something. But in this case, Baba's love and the intensity of his atmosphere was so strong that my brother, wherever we go, in fact, if he went to when he would go to the beach, the children would come up to him, and these were like strange children that we didn't know them, but they would come up and they would embrace him, and they would like to hug him or jump on his back, and he would just let them because he knew that something was happening to him. And then this cable came from me. And he read the cable and he realized that Baba was giving him the experience of being with him. And that was what was happening to him. So that lasted up till the time that I came back. And then that experience began to fade away. That's what he told me. So this was all part of that incident that occurred. Now, when I got back from this trip, well, actually, I should tell you more about what happened during the trip. Being with Baba was a confirmation to me that he was the avatar. I had gone there for two reasons. First of all, I felt from everything that I had read that if anyone could be the avatar, it sounded like he was, because I never read anything that was so answered so many of my questions and at the same time felt right and had so much love as Baba did. But he really did, in seeing Baba, it didn't take me long to feel that he was everything he said, and maybe much more. My mother, who's a very sweet lady, very, very sweet lady, and quite the opposite of my dad, was asked me one question before I left to see Baba in India, and because I did tell her, and she said, "Let me know whether you think he is who he says he is." And I sent her a telegram from India when I was with Baba then, saying that to answer your question of whether Baba is, he is much more. And that was my reply at that time to her. So my mom and my mother, you see, she also became a Baba lover. But she couldn't say anything to my father because of how he felt. But she would always keep a little picture of Baba in her purse, and then she would open it up and say, "You see that? There's Meher Baba." And she would go, click. As time went by, it was very difficult for her because she was always afraid of driving on the interstate or, on these highways in the city. She didn't like that because she would be afraid of the road. And then one day I asked her, I said, "Well, Mom, you don't seem to be so afraid anymore." She says, "Well, I see Baba." I said, "What?" "Yeah," she says, "I see Baba all the time whenever I'm driving." So I said, "Well, I didn't know that. How long has that been going on for?" She says, "Oh, it's been going on for some years." So I said, "Really? It's been going on for years? You never mentioned it." She says, "No, I didn't." But I said, "Well, how do you see Baba? Do you see his face or how?" She said, "Oh, yes, I see his face, and I'm driving, and his face is here, and he's looking at me, and he's smiling, and I feel fine, so I just drive." Well, and this can, and every so often over the years, I would ask her, "Do you still see Baba?" She says, "Yes, whenever I drive." So I said, then one day she tells me something. She says, "Irwin, something happened today." And I said, "Well, what's that?" She says, "I didn't see Baba. I was driving and I didn't see Baba." I said, "You didn't, huh?" She says, "No, and I don't understand why I didn't see Baba." I said, "Well, maybe Baba wants you to feel that this is something special that he's doing for you, and you shouldn't take it for granted." She says, "Yes, maybe that's it. Maybe I was taking it for granted." And then the next time she got in the car, she said, "Yes, now I see Baba again." Had sent to me. And the question of how to love him comes up quite often. Many lovers, old lovers, new lovers, never sure if they love Baba. And I had also written to Baba about that, as to whether, to love him more, how to do this. And this is one letter that came back, and this was September 30th in 1961. I had known Baba for about a year and a half. And Baba says in here, Erich is actually writing the letter, and Baba is dictating a lot of it. And it starts off, it says, "I have received your 2 long letters. The first one was on your dilemma of how to love Baba more and more when you do not know whether you love him. This gave me a chuckle indeed, for it is a universal problem for all those who love the beloved Master. And I had another big chuckle when our beloved Baba had already replied to your query in his joined cable sent to Terry Lang. The contents of the cable did not apply to you four alone, but it is a pointer to all of us for all time, for all who wish to earn his friendship. Because Baba in that cable said that before God realization, one must first earn the friendship of the Master. And of course there were other things said in regards to how to love him there too. It says, for all who wish to earn his friendship, the more we clean our hearts of otherness, the more our love manifests for him. But the lover can never know that he loves. I want you to remember, dear Irwin, one thing that Baba has told us, and that is the subtle difference between love and affection. Love never seeks satisfaction and can never adequately express itself. Therefore, a lover never knows that he loves. No sooner it derives satisfaction from its expression, it is not love, but affection. Love is just a burning, a silent, bright burning that never stops till it has consumed all the otherness of the lover. All the otherness of the lover. What Baba means by the otherness is, of course, our age-old desires that seek satisfaction. Love is the gift of God to man, and cannot be had for the asking. One can only wait for it and not measure the duration of our waiting by our own time. But it rests with man to obey the perfect Master and offer him the gift of one's complete surrender. I want to just stop for a moment because this reminds me of something. We were sitting in front of Baba one day. This was, I think, at the East-West gathering. I'm sort of jumping to another time period here. But at the time, Baba looked at me and my brother Edward. We were sitting on the... Baba was in his chair. We were on the carpet. There was about 200 people present in Guru Prasad Hall. And Baba just looked and he said to me, love is surrender. And then he repeated it again. Love is surrender. And then a third time. Love is surrender. And then went on with everything else that was happening. So here now, Erich is reading Baba's gestures and saying, but it rests with man to obey the perfect Master and offer him the gift of one's complete surrender. Your second letter was received and read to Baba along with your friend Cowan's letter sent by Adi to Meherzad. This was done without disturbing Baba in his seclusion. Baba was touched with the content of your letter, particularly your determination to keep on good terms with your father as Baba wished, even when you were sorely tried in your heart. Oh boy, I remember this. Tried by his actions. Even when you were sorely tried by his actions of throwing away the things so precious to your heart. Well, what had happened when I came back from India the first time, during that first visit, Baba gave me a scarf. He gave me a scarf and he gave Edward a scarf. These were two gifts that he gave to us, and he said that we should treasure them. Well, we did, and you know, I would keep it, and it was, you know, kept as Baba's gift to us. And one day, and we also had quite a few letters that had come in that year of 1960, up till the time that we were with Baba. And what happens is my father comes into my room one day, and he is so upset, you know, with this whole Baba thing. And he decides, when I'm not there and when Edward wasn't there, somehow he found my scarf and he throws it into the bay, which was behind the house, along with all the letters that Baba had sent, you see, at that time. So it went all into the bay. And the next scene is me and Edward diving into the bay, trying to find, you know, whatever there was, and it was too murky, you couldn't see anything. So I thought that, well, I better tell Baba about this, which was, what now, 15 minutes? Okay. So I thought, well, I better write to Baba and tell him, you know, what happened, because I didn't feel horrible or terrible or anything. I just felt it was beyond my control, and there was nothing I could do about it, but I better tell the Avatar. So now Baba is replying to this, you see. This is his reply. Baba was touched by the content of your letter, particularly your determination to keep on good terms with your father as Baba wished. Because I didn't really get upset with my father about it. I figured, well, if I was him, maybe I'd feel the same way. I would have done the same thing. But I'm not him. So, to keep on... even when you were so sorely tried by his action of throwing away the things so precious to your heart, we can imagine how it must have wrenched you to have lost that scarf given to you personally by Baba. But dear Irwin, Baba wants me to tell you that in your having lost the scarf, you have won a greater warmth and closeness in Baba's love because you have pleased Baba in not hurting your father's feelings when you yourself were so sorely hurt. The scarf can be replaced someday again with an added blessing from Baba. The old scarf has served its purpose in helping you to test your own obedience to Baba's wish. That was what it was. It has a nice ending. After after Baba had dropped his body, and I was touring about filming so many people's stories about Baba, which is what happened for some years after he left his body. Well, when we came to India, this was in 1971. Baba left his body in 1969. So I was visiting one of Baba's lovers, and we were preparing to film her and and we would hear their stories, and record it on the film. This lady, she says to me, after the filming was over, she says, "I have something special for you, which I want to give you." And I said, "Yes, I'd like to see that." She says, "I have a scarf, which was worn by Baba in the new life, and I want you to have it." So I felt at the time that Baba had, he had done that. And I still have it till this day. It's a beautiful, nice scarf that he wore. Of course, it's a treasure now for us, to have that. And it has his love and his touch in it. So I feel that Baba had done that. He had carried out what he had asked, what he had said. I mean, he didn't say here that he was going to do it for sure, but he went ahead and he did it anyhow. Now, it goes on and says here, whether you are able to love Baba and love him more and more or not more, whether you are 100% able to obey his instructions or whether you can only struggle to do it, what Baba wants you to remember is that he loves you very dearly and that he is pleased with you, and he wants you to make him your constant companion. Remember him as constantly as possible without worrying your head over it, and then leave the rest to him. So, this is a letter really which is so universal and is real, and in fact that's what Erich wrote in the beginning, that it's really something for everybody in how to love Baba, how to love him. We got any more time?
12 more minutes.
Oh, 12. Okay. I had written a song. It was actually a poem that was sent to Baba many years ago. And in this poem, it was called The Wondrous One. And my poems to Baba, actually my letters to Baba, I'm sorry I don't have my copies of some of the letters. I might read you one of them. And it was difficult to write to Baba, just to say, you're not writing just to another person. How are you? Are you feeling all right? You're not going to write letters like that. It was all an expression of love, and the longing of the lover to gain union with the beloved, to experience the divine being, the divine aspect of yourself and the beloved as one, where the otherness, all the sense of separation that would exist between yourself and the one you love disappears. This otherness makes us one with God, makes us become God when the otherness is gone. There is no otherness. There's only one. You as the divine beloved in the end. But till then, it's a divine romance in which you seek to win the heart of your beloved, and then the beloved reveals himself in the end, and you get to see that you and the beloved were always one and the same, and that you are everywhere, you are in everything, you're all that you had ever idealized your beloved to be. And to find God, so anyhow, these poems or these letters that I would write to Baba were always along these lines. And even though there were at times other things, like if Baba gave certain orders or instructions, well, then we would deal with that on a very meticulous and practical manner, which makes me have to read to you the one line in this letter that I left out. Because it had nothing to do with the rest of everything that was being read on how to love God. But it shows that Baba was very practical too in everything. And this line, I'm going to read it to you. It's I had to do it in an order that Baba had given to me, that I should take a bath every day. See? I was normally not inclined to do so. So she thanks Baba. So Baba, in this line, he says, health permitting, Baba wants you to take a bath every day and not worry if you should ever miss taking one due to circumstances. So he was practical about that part. There was a lot of other little detailed type of orders that Baba had given to me, and over the period of time, I found that when all right, here's a bath. Well, normally, bath is to be clean. But I always felt that when Baba said to do something, you weren't doing it anymore because you wanted to do it. It was being done because he wished it. And it really comes back to that we should do things because it is God's will more than our own. We forget ourselves, our egos become less, we're not so involved. And this poem, which was written to Baba, which I just mentioning this now, is called The Wondrous One. Later, Baba had, when this film came out, in fact, you heard it yesterday, those of you who saw the first reel of the film of Meher Baba, Avatar of the Age, The Human Side of God, there's that section in there with the must. So I had put music to it for the sake of the movie, and then adapted that song so it could be used as the theme for that portion of the film that dealt with the must. There was actually 7 different themes in that film, and written by various people, but that one I wrote the music to. Now, the words of the song are very important, and it's so, in my mind, meaningful, pertaining to who these musts are and their relationship and their love for the master, for the beloved. And I asked Janet if she would sing that song, and and first she said yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right.